Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Every app on your mobile phone and every website which you watch on the internet on your desktop or laptop is coded by someone else to make our lives easier and better. If you are new here, my name is Mano, I am Flutter Developer. In this video, I will give you 2 feasible, simple steps which you can follow to get started your coding career. Let's hop into this. So let me tell you a small story. And this is a story of me, how I get started into coding, how I've written my first line of coding, how I got into this whole programming stuff. So back in school, I had this thing called QBasic, and computer science was a part of my curriculum, right? So I had this thing, like it was an old programming language by Microsoft, and it's called a QBasic, basic, whatever you call it. And I started with that. It was back in like my 4th or 5th standard. So I started like the first line with QBasic. Even though I don't remember it right now, and it started everything started with QBasic. But the thing is that I didn't like it as much as I do programming right now. I hated it completely because I didn't understand anything there, and moreover that the staff in the school wasn't like good enough to teach that to kids like me and make them interested in the learning process. So I hated it completely. Then the next year comes and I was introduced to something new called Turtle. I'm sure you all might have heard Turtle thing, because like there will be a triangle head over there and it will draw lines and trees, and you can change the colors and the head, all sorts of things. So it was there on the next year, and I liked it, but not much. I still hated the whole stuff as well, because but not as much as I hated basic though. And so the first impression for me on coding started with hate, and it wasn't a good sign back then. Everything was a mess over there. And after a few years, like when I was in 8th standard, I had this HTML, a popular HTML thing on the curriculum, and the staff who took HTML for me was really good. She taught all the basics of the HTML, how websites work, how every single HTML tag performs, and what you can use them for. So the HTML was the first thing which I started learning as a proper programming thing. So I might also consider like I have written my first line of code back in the 8th standard. And after a few years, like from 9th, 11th and 12th standard, I consecutively had C and C++ in the curriculum, and I hated completely because I didn't understand what a loop is, what's a class, what's a enumeration is, what's inheritance is. So it was a complete sort of mess over there, and I didn't like it as much as I like it right now. And it was a mess in the school. So the only thing about coding which I liked in the school was HTML, and that was too in 8th standard, long way back. And after I joined the college, I got introduced to C in the first semester and C++ in the second semester. So in the first semester, C programming was there, and the staff who took C programming was really, really good. That she made the basics of C programming so easy, like she made it look like a piece of cake. And in the second semester, I was quite confident with the C++ thing because I got the basics of C right. And C++ is basically the big brother of C programming. So I'm like pretty confident right now, and get started with C++. And even at this point, it was with object-oriented programming. C programming doesn't support this OOPS concept, but C++ supports the OOPS concept. So I need to learn this thing, and it's quite hard if you don't know what the OOPS concepts or object-oriented programming concepts are. And the staff who handled that class was like made the basics proper. Like the basics was aligned in the class. I did all sorts of things in there. And that is when I learned that C++ is one of the things which I need to learn. Like, I have to get better at C programming and C++ to learn whatever I want. And I want to cut short the story over here and take you to the 2 feasible, simple steps which you can follow to get started with your career as well. So the first step in our list, and the step of 2 steps, is get your basics right. And I mean it. Get your basics right. If you know what the basics of programming are and how programming steps work, every underlying concepts work, then it doesn't matter what programming language you choose or what framework you choose. You can master it within days, and that's the power of getting the basics right. So like for me, it wasn't those teachers who made programming easier for me, it was those teachers who made the basics of programming easier for me, and that in turn prepared me to get better at programming and take whatever the language or framework which I want to choose and master it and get better at it. So I mean it, like if this is an era of internet, right, and if you want to learn something, if you want to get better at something, go to internet, choose some amazing tutors over there, or any classes on internet or Udemy or Coursera or YouTube. Even YouTube is good for that. So go there, like learn from some amazing teachers on the internet. It can be any website as well. So if you want to get started with HTML, there are like loads of websites like Geeks for Geeks, W3 Schools. You utilize them and learn from them. So get your basics right is the first step. So listen, the best and the proven way to build something and master something is to build projects, okay? And I know a lot of people will be like, I don't know a lot of programming, and how can I build projects with what I know, and my knowledge is not so great on programming. So what I say is that the knowledge which you have on programming or particular programming language or a particular framework doesn't matter. So all you need to do is learn. Even if you want to learn the ABCs of programming, I would suggest you to do with that by building some projects of any kind. So like unless you build a project, you can't master something. So start with something small, like a to-do list app, which is quite small and easy to build in your initial stages. Then as you progress, increase the difficulty, move on to something bigger ones and build something. The core concept is that building projects will help you to learn more. You will research more. You will go to Google. You will go to Stack Overflow and learn something new from them. And it will build you a lot more. It will give you a lot more knowledge than what you learn from a particular source, like a Geeks for Geeks or a book or an online course. So the thing is, if you do projects, it's always good for you. You can learn more from them. As you have come till here, I'm going to give you a small roadmap with which you can start your coding journey. So if you are a complete newbie, you don't know what programming is at all, I would highly recommend you and always start with HTML, because HTML is one thing which made me feel that like this programming stuff needs to be a part of me in the upcoming years, back in my school days, back in the 8th standard. So I highly recommend you to start with HTML. So build some basic website skeletons and do some fiddling with that. And after HTML, go learn CSS, and CSS is an extension of HTML which gives life to those website skeletons. It's like a life to a human being. It will give life to the website itself. So learn HTML and CSS. It's a nice starting point to have in your journey. And after learning HTML and CSS, it's a better option to try out like the proper programming languages like C++, Python and JavaScript. So if you are a newbie, I would recommend you to start with Python, because Python is an English-like language. Something that it's quite intuitive, you can understand as a beginner. So start with Python, learn the basics of programming, learn the basics of object-oriented programming, how programming stuff work at its core, and after that you can move on to whatever you want. Learn JavaScript or C++, it doesn't matter. And honestly, JavaScript is used everywhere. You name it, from websites to mobile apps to server side to cloud, whatever it is, JavaScript is used there. And if you got your basics right, if you get your basics right, it doesn't matter what programming language you choose, it doesn't matter what framework you choose, it doesn't matter even if you want to learn machine learning or artificial intelligence or cloud computing, whatever you want. If you get your basics right of the programming with these things, you can learn whatever you want. So that's it for me, guys. I will leave the links to some of the resources below in the description, and thank you so much for watching. See you guys next one. Bye bye.